Welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. Hope you're doing good, having a good evening or morning or day, wherever you are. I know there's a picture that I wanted to share with you guys. Oh no. I thought I just took a picture, it didn't come out. Oh, it didn't come out. So, all right, we'll do it tomorrow night. So, hope you guys are having a good night and rejoicing in the Lord and enjoying His presence. And Bogte Blagoslovio. Yeah, I just met with some friends a few weeks ago who I went to Croatia with them. And I learned Bogte Blagoslovio. But, I said it to a Croatian. And you know what? I kind of got in trouble because they thought I was saying Yugoslavia. And I was saying Blagoslovio, which I thought meant bless you. Bog means God. Anyway, but it was hello, God bless you. Oh, RSS, are you Muslim? If you're Muslim, come on. I'm going to put an invitation here for you, RSS. Love to have you come on and we could talk about it. Why don't you come on? Let's talk about. I love you too. I want you to know the truth about Jesus. Come on. There's the link. Why don't you come on? If you don't want to show your face, you don't have to show your face. But if you'd like to talk about Islam, we could talk about it. And I could tell you my view about what you're saying. You guys RSS, at least, he's saying at least today, accept Islam. If you'd like, come on, let's talk about it. I could tell you some of the reasons why I won't accept Islam. I could tell you some of those reasons, and then if you want to tell me why you think I should, tell you what, RSS, if you want to come on and tell me 5 things you like about Muhammad, 5 things you respect about Muhammad. Welcome, Blackwater. God bless you, brother. Welcome, Lotus Wolf. God bless you. But RSS wants. RSS is RSS. Are you ostrich? RSS. So looks like ostrich is here, you guys. So is RSS ostrich? I could tell you. I could tell you lots of reasons why I won't accept Islam. Never. Oh, okay, so RSS is ostrich. Okay, you guys. So RSS did a little trick there and changed the name there, so I didn't know that it was ostrich. Okay. Okay. So what are so RSS, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and talk about my subject that I want to talk about tonight. And you're welcome to stay and hang around. And you're welcome to hang out. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the subject that I was going to talk about today, which is Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel, messianic prophecies in the gospel in the book of Ezekiel. Now, Ezekiel is one of the major prophets. Okay. So Ezekiel is one of the major prophets. And his prophecies are beyond amazing, especially his prophecies about the end times. And, a lot of what's happening right now in Israel and the Holy Land and the Russia connection and the Iran connection, Ezekiel predicted all this. Ezekiel predicted everything that's going on right now with a weak American president. All of these things Ezekiel predicted. And so I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and talk about this particular subject before I bring RSS on. If RSS wants to hang out, we're going to go ahead and I don't want to forfeit our subject tonight. And there's one thing that the other day I kind of felt guilty because I talked so much about Isaiah. I love Isaiah. I love Daniel. I love Zechariah. I love those 3 books of the Bible. This is the amazing thing about the Bible, is that the Bible was written over a 1,500-year period, from the first writer, Moses, down to the last one, possibly John, the Apostle John. 40 different writers on 4 different continents. On 3 different continents. 4 different writers on 3 different continents. In over a 1,500-year period, wrote the Bible, and yet their books are in perfect agreement with each other. And, that's one of the testimonies that this can only have been done by God. Only God could have written the Bible. And only God could have, because when you look, over 1,000 years, 1,500 years. What was 1,500 years ago from our time? That was 1,500 years ago. Just think about it. 1,500 years ago, they had the Byzantine Empire was still around. 1,500 years, it was before Muhammad's time. Muhammad was only 1,400 years ago. And so, but the fact that 40 different writers over 1,500-year period wrote these books that are in perfect agreement. And you compare that with the Quran, it was written by one man, and most of the stuff that's in it is just repeating itself. Like you have so many different tellings of the Exodus, that Moses is taking the children of Israel out of Egypt. I think there's 27 tellings of the Exodus, and you got so many tellings of the Noah's Ark, and just different stories, just repeating over and over and over again. And because Muhammad would hear something from the Jews, and the Jews would then, and what started happening, you guys, I'll just tell you that the Jews started playing with Muhammad. And what do I mean by that? They realized he wanted to be considered a prophet by them, okay? See, this was Muhammad's problem. I'm going to tell you Muhammad's problem. Muhammad wanted to be accepted as a prophet by the real believers of the real books, Jews and Christians. And so he had talked to everybody in Mecca, said, hey, Mecca, Qurayshis, they refused him. Even his uncle didn't accept him. Even the people who were closest to him didn't want nothing to do with his religion. Okay. His uncle, Abu Talib, didn't want nothing to do with it. And so Muhammad thought, well, I'm going to go north. I'm going to go north to Medina and hang out there with the Jews and the Christians, and they're going to know that I'm the prophet. I'm the and you guys, I suspect it's my belief based on writings by Muslims that Muhammad was actually under the control of Khadijah. Khadijah is the one that kind of pushed him in this direction in his life. So anyway, he went to the Jews in Medina and started telling them, "Hey, I'm the prophet. I am a prophet." That, you know, and the Jews said, "Okay, let's see if you're a prophet." And they would ask him stuff, and they were just playing with him because they knew he wasn't a prophet. And they, first of all, a prophet, the prophets, the Jewish prophets were Jews. Okay, Muhammad was definitely not a Jew, and so, but they thought they would play with him. And one time they asked him, "We want to ask you a question, oh prophet of Allah, that only a true prophet can know. You know, uh, what's the first thing you're going to eat when you get to heaven?" And he says, "You're going to eat fish liver." And then, and then he said, they asked him something that only a true prophet can know. How does a baby become? Which parent will the baby look like? And then Muhammad came up with this infinite wisdom that Jibreel gave him, that when the mother and father are having sex, whoever discharges first, that's the word they use, discharges first, the baby will look like that parent. And the Jews were just having fun with him. They were messing with him. Well, eventually Muhammad caught on that the Jews were doing this to him. And when he did, that's when he turned against them. He exiled 2 of the tribes of the Jews, Benu Kenuka, Benu Mustalek. And then he committed genocide. He killed all the men of the other tribe, Benu Qurayza. And so Muhammad had real issues with Jews. And they knew how to play him. They knew how to mess with him, and he didn't like that. And so he took a bitter revenge on them. And to this day, Muhammad's words are being used to persecute the Jews. There's a hadith that says the end time will not come until a Jew, the Jews will, the trees will say, "Hey, Muslim, there's a Jew behind me, come kill him." And there's a rock, and a rock will say, "Hey, Muslim, there's a Jew behind me, come kill him." So even the rocks and the trees are going to talk. Muhammad has talking rocks and trees. And so anyway, that was Muhammad. And so, but the Bible, over 1,500 years, and no contradictions, perfectly preserved, God's word, and not just according to the scholars, but according to the Quran itself. 15 times the Quran says that the Bible is perfectly preserved. 15 times. And so at least 15 times. But compare that with the Quran, so full of contradictions. And so, all right. Well, today, like I said, one of the things that I love Isaiah, I love Zechariah, and I talk so much about the prophecies in those books, because there's so many there's like over 360 prophecies in the Old Testament about Jesus. There's prophecies about where he would be born. Micah said he would be born in Bethlehem. The fact that he would be God and man. That's Isaiah says, "Behold, unto us a son is born. His name will be Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God." The fact that he would be born of a virgin 700 years before he was born. The fact that he would be born of a virgin in the Garden of Eden, God told Adam and Eve. And Moses is the one that wrote that 1,500 years before Jesus was born. The fact that he would have his hands and feet pierced, written by David 1,000 years before Jesus was born. The fact that he would be sold for 30 pieces of silver. Zechariah wrote that 700 years before Jesus was born. The fact that he would open the eyes of the blind, the deaf, the mute. Isaiah wrote that 700 years before he was born. The fact that they would give him vinegar to drink when he was on the cross, David wrote that 1,000 years before Jesus was born. The fact that they would give him gall, you guys, it says, for my meat, they gave me gall. What is gall? Gall is kind of this anesthesia. It's almost like a poison that they give to people when they crucify them so that the pain of the crucifixion will be less. They offered it to Jesus. Remember, it says that when he tasted it, he wouldn't take it. They were trying to give it to him as an anesthesia to lessen the pain of the crucifixion, but Jesus refused to take it. But they offered it to him. David wrote that they were going to do that 1,000 years before Jesus was born in Psalm 69. The fact that he would, his bones would be separated. His bones would be separated. Well, when they crucified them, they used to, boom, put the cross down real hard to where the bones would come out of joint. Well, David predicted that 1,000 years before Jesus was born. Okay, the fact that he would be rejected, that was written 1,000 years. It says the stone that the builders have rejected has become the chief cornerstone. Psalm, that's written in the book of Psalms. The fact that he would be God, Psalm 110, David said, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. All of these prophecies, that he would that he would be the son of Abraham, a descendant of Abraham, that he would be a descendant of Isaac, the chosen son, not Ishmael, the rejected son. The fact that he would be the son of David. All of this was written, that he would come through the tribe of Judah, that he would be a king, that he would be a shepherd, that he would be the good shepherd, that he would rise from the dead after 3 days. Hosea said that. He says, after 3 days, I'll be raised to life. It's in Hosea. The fact that he would go to Egypt and come back from Egypt. The fact that he'd be born in Bethlehem. The fact that he'd live in Nazareth. The fact that he would die in Jerusalem. The fact that he'd come back to life. The fact that he would ascend to heaven and be Lord of Lords and King of Kings. All of this was written 1,000 years, 1,500 years, 700 years, 600 years, 500 years before Jesus was born. The fact that he would ride into Jerusalem riding on a donkey, written 600 years before he was born by the prophet Zechariah. Okay, the day he would ride into Jerusalem riding on a donkey was written about 500 years before he was born by the prophet Daniel. All of these prophecies written before, and Muhammad wanted to say, oh, wait a minute, that's about me. He wanted to take some of that glory that belongs to Jesus and say it's his. That's why he says that I'm the prophet that Moses, that says, it says that Moses said, a God will raise up for you a prophet like me. Well, that prophecy was already fulfilled. That prophecy was already fulfilled. It was already fulfilled because, Peter, on the day of Pentecost, said Jesus was the prophet like Moses that Moses predicted. Jesus is the prophet like Moses that Moses predicted. And he was supposed to be a Jew, and Muhammad definitely wasn't a Jew, because Moses said, from among your brothers. And Jesus was a Jew. And so that prophecy has already been fulfilled. The next thing I expect is Muhammad is going to say he was born in Bethlehem. I expect Muhammad's going to say he was born in Bethlehem too, because he wanted to take the glory of Jesus and say it belonged to him. Jesus said, many will come in my name, claiming to be the Christ and false prophets. So amazing prophecies. Absolute scientific proof that Jesus is God, because nobody else could have written those prophecies and fulfilled them. The chances of somebody fulfilling 8 of those prophecies, 8, You got to build a 2-foot wall around all of Texas, fill it all the way up with quarters. Take one quarter, stand outside of Texas, and take one single quarter and put like a black mark, like put like a black mark on the quarter, and then throw it way deep into Texas, maybe in Dallas or Fort Worth or somewhere. And then take somebody in a helicopter and parachute him into Texas with blindfolders on. And he has to bend down and pick up one of the quarters. He has to pick up exactly the one with the black mark on it. That's the chance of one person fulfilling 8 of the prophecies that Jesus fulfilled. Now, to fulfill the prophecies he fulfilled, the hundreds and hundreds that he did fulfill, is beyond mathematical. There's not enough atoms in the universe to equate the probability. It's absolutely impossible. Why? Because this is something that God did. And Jesus fulfilled hundreds of prophecies, not 8. And you in the book of Matthew, you see 46 of the prophecies that he fulfilled. 46 of the prophecies he fulfilled, which is, you guys, it's scientific proof that Jesus Christ is the Messiah and that he is God. That's scientific proof. But, the probabilities, they actually did research on the probabilities of one man fulfilling these prophecies. When you look at and we're talking, you can't even, they said, that when you're getting into the probabilities of one man fulfilling all these prophecies, there's not enough atoms in the universe. Not enough atoms in the universe to equate this for the possibility of one man fulfilling all these prophecies. The book of Matthew is a miracle, you guys, and not just the book of Matthew, the whole Bible, but the book of Matthew, which has 46 of these prophecies. The likelihood of one man fulfilling all those prophecies is a scientific, it's beyond, there's no mathematical, it goes beyond math. Let's just say it goes beyond math. You're dealing with infinity now. And then Muhammad comes along 600 years later and says, no, it's about me. You expect him to say that he was born in Bethlehem, it's because there's a prophecy about it, and because he wanted to take Jesus's glory. He wanted to have some of Jesus's glory, which is a typical Antichrist thing to do. So anyway, so because I love, Elias, prophets prophesy. Tell me a prophecy that Muhammad said that fulfilled. Tell me a prophecy. Muhammad made one prophecy. Muhammad made one prophecy that I'll give him credit that was fulfilled. Muhammad said in the Quran that if he misrepresented Allah, Allah said he's going to take him by the right hand and cut his aorta. That's what it says in the Quran. And Muhammad said that this was going to happen to a false prophet. Well, that's the way Muhammad died. Before he died, he was telling Aisha over and over again, I feel like my aorta is being cut. You see, so that's the only prophecy I know that Muhammad spoke that was fulfilled, So, all right, well, let's go ahead and talk about these, about the messianic prophecies in the book of Ezekiel. Like I said, I love Isaiah, I love Zechariah, but yesterday I wanted to give Jeremiah. I want to talk about Jeremiah and messianic prophecies in Jeremiah. There's some phenomenal messianic prophecies in Jeremiah. And then today in Ezekiel, because there's phenomenal prophecies in Ezekiel. And we're not going to get them all, but we're going to get some of them, okay? And Ezekiel, let's just find yes. Let me just show you. Let's just tell you a little bit about Ezekiel. Ezekiel's a very interesting prophet. He is one of the few prophets who was actually a priest as well. Okay, he was actually a priest, and there's not many of those prophets who were priests also. Okay, Ezekiel is the author of the book of Ezekiel. He presents himself as Ezekiel, the son of Buzi, born into a priestly Kohen lineage. Apart from identifying himself, the author gives a date for the first divine encounter for which he presents. It was in the 30th year. Ezekiel describes his calling to be a prophet by going into great detail about his encounter with God and four living creatures and its four wheels that stayed beside the creatures. According to the Bible, Ezekiel and his wife, and you guys, if we're going to, we're going to have to talk about the wife of Ezekiel. We're going to have to talk about the wife of Ezekiel because the wife of Ezekiel, one time, God is talking about the wife of Ezekiel, and she's called Mahmad, which means beloved, Mahmad. And Muhammad said, Zakir Naik says that word Mahmad is supposed to be Muhammad, to where, according to this, Muhammad was Ezekiel's wife. Mahmad, sorry guys, I know, bad joke, but they do say that, you guys, because they say that Muhammad is Mahmadim in Song of Solomon. The word is Mahmadim, speaking about the woman in the Song of Solomon. And Mahmadim meaning beloved. Well, they said that's Muhammad. Well, it also says about Ezekiel's wife that she's called Mahmad. So if you're going to say Muhammad is Solomon's wife, he's also Ezekiel's wife, according to that Mahmad theory. So anyway, I liked what is his name? Dr. Brown. Was named Dr. Brown, that Messianic guy? He said, Michael Brown. He said, I'm mentioned in the Bible more often than Muhammad, just because the name Michael is mentioned several times. So, okay. All right. Anyway, Ezekiel, you guys, it says that Ezekiel and his wife were lived during the Babylonian captivity, and they were in Babylon, okay, on the banks of the canal of Tel Aviv, not the Tel Aviv in Israel right now, but they were exiles from Judah. This is when Nebuchadnezzar came and took the Jews, okay, at the Babylonian captivity. Okay, and Ezekiel's 30th year, he's given, he was in exile with the king of Judah, whose name was Jehoiakim. And Ezekiel dates, let me see, I wanted to see when Ezekiel was probably born. Ezekiel was probably born, he was in the 6th century. So probably about 600 years before Jesus was born. Born probably 622 years before Jesus was born. Died probably 570 years before Jesus was born. So he how long would you say then he lived? From 570 to 622, 30, around 50, age 52 possibly when he died. Okay. So Ezekiel, in Arabic, his name is Hazkiel. Okay. Of course. Okay. He prophesied about 22 years. Okay. And Ezekiel, like Jeremiah, is said by the Talmud to have been a descendant of Joshua by his marriage with the proselyte and former prostitute Rahab. What? Tells you, man, that these tells you that some of these books, the Midrash, Talmud, and all of those, tells you what how crazy they are. And a lot of the stories in the Quran, including the talking ants and everything like that, um, uh, those are those those books. A lot of the stories in the Quran, the crazy stories in the Quran, like the talking ants and Solomon talking to demons and to ants and stuff. That's all from the Jewish books, you guys. You know, Muhammad just took that straight from the Jewish books. The Jews used to mock him and laugh at him and tell him these crazy stories, and he'd write them in the Quran the next day. That's why they called him the ear, you know, because he'd hear something and then go write it in the Quran. And what did the people of his day say? Uh, what did the people of his day say? The people of his day said, dude, these things you're telling us, these are the fairy tales of the ancients. Fairy tales, you know, that's what it is. Uh, so, uh, so, all right, let's look at some of the prophecies of Ezekiel. Okay, and so here's the first one that I want to show you. This one, okay, now this is actually worth going to actually showing you the actual passage from the book of Ezekiel. Okay. Let me just actually show you this because this is the first prophecy of Jesus in the book of Ezekiel. Okay. Okay. Let me see if I could do this with the Bible Hub. Bible Hub. No, it's a Bible Gateway. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That way we're still here. I want to actually show you the prophecy, just because the this is very similar to the vision of John in the book of Revelation. Okay. Now this is look at the beginning of it. It says, "In my 30th year, in the 4th month of the 5th day, I was among the exiles." Exiles meaning the Jews who are exiled from Judah to Babylon. The heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. Wow. On the 5th month, it was the 5th year of the exile of King Jehoiakim, the word of the Lord came to Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, by the Kebar River in the land of the Babylonians. There the hand of the Lord was on him. He saw the 4 living creatures, which, you guys, the 4 living creatures is the same living creatures that you see in the book of Revelation. And then in Isaiah, you see these seraphim. They're called seraphim. Okay, so, you know, I think these creatures are the same 4 creatures, but there could be others as well. So, very, very fascinating. Ezekiel was so amazingly detailed in his description um, of these angels that he saw, these cherubim that he saw. But in verse 25, this is where you see a vision of Jesus. And there came a voice from above the vault over their heads, that's over these creatures, as they stood with lowered wings. Above the vault, over their heads, was what looked like a throne of lapis lazuli. Okay, he's talking about the throne that was. I just thought, well, You know what? I've never heard of lapis lazuli. I mean, I've read about it here in the book of Isaiah, but I never bought a lapis lazuli ring. Um, but I did get a picture for you of what lapis lazuli looks like. So let me see if I have it here. Okay. I mean, this is a real, it's a real stone. This is what lapis lazuli looks like. Okay. So it's this kind of blue. Um, and you guys, when it says that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it was actually made of this rock, but this is the color of it, I think, that when he says that. And this is something that you find over and over again in Revelation. You see, there's actually, let me see if I've got this. Because when the Israelites see God, the throne of God, okay, it says an interesting thing. Let me see if I have it here. Screenshot. Oh, okay. What's interesting is that they say that there was a sapphire. They said that there was like a sapphire. This was in. Let me just get. I can get this real quick, you guys. Let me just get this for you real quick. Okay, cancel. Let me just get this for you real quick. It's actually in the book of Exodus. Okay. 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 In 24:10, Exodus 24:10. This is when the elders, remember it says that the elders went up to the mountain, Mount Sinai, and they saw God. And when they saw Jesus, they saw the Son of God. They saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like a pavement made of lapis lazuli, as bright blue as the sky. Okay, so there again, there's a pavement before the throne of God that is lapis lazuli. It's bright blue. Okay, as bright blue as the sky. So so Ezekiel's not the only one who saw this, talks about this rock, the lapis lazuli. And then if you go to Revelation, it also describes the pavement before the throne as like a sapphire, blue like a sapphire. So this is a consistent theme throughout the Bible: is when they see God, the throne of God, this blue color. They talk about this blue color. Okay. So anyway, this is Ezekiel here. And there came a voice from above the vault, and they stood with lowered wings, and the vault over their heads was what looked like a throne of lapis lazuli, and high above on the throne was a figure like that of a man. Okay, this is a man, like man. Okay, I saw that from what appeared to be his waist up, he looked like glowing metal, as if full of fire. Remember what John said when he saw Jesus? That he talked about the burnished brass, he talked about the shining sun, and here Ezekiel looked like glowing metal. Interesting, they say glowing metal. It makes me want to go to Revelation chapter 1 and look what John said when he saw Jesus. Um, okay, 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 seven churches. Okay, it says, and in the midst of the seven candlesticks was one like the Son of Man. This is another big thing in Ezekiel, you guys. Son of Man. Let me just, I want to do this real quick because I think this is the biggest prophecy of Jesus in Ezekiel. Is how many times he is called Son of Man. Okay. In Ezekiel, the phrase Son of Man is used 94 times. 94 times. It talks about God, when he addresses Ezekiel, calls him Son of Man. Well, we know that that was the most common title Jesus used about himself. When he spoke about himself, more than anything, he called himself Son of Man. Okay. He did call himself Son of God too, but more often he called himself Son of Man to show that he had taken on human nature. But he was human nature fused with the divine nature, because the Son of Man, in reference to the Messiah, is about a divine person, someone who is God. But I think it's very significant that the phrase Son of Man is used in the book of Ezekiel 94 times. And most of those by far, I mean, we're talking like 78 of them, is about Ezekiel, where God is talking to Ezekiel and he addresses him Son of Man. Now, he did not address Isaiah that way. He did not address Daniel that way. He did not address Zechariah that way. But he addresses Ezekiel that way. So I think that that's a very significant prophecy there of Jesus, the Son of Man. So that's the prophet Ezekiel, you guys. First time is in Ezekiel 2:1. And Ezekiel says, talking about the Lord, and he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon your feet, and I will speak unto you. He said unto me, Son of man, I will send you to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that hath rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even to this very day. And you, Son of man, don't be afraid of it. So over and over and over and over and over again, God calls him Son of Man. So there's one prophecy about Jesus in the book of, okay, let me just read to you again. I was going to read to you what it says in Revelation. It says, this is what John said about Jesus when he saw him. And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man. That's what John says. Clothed with a garment down to his foot, and girt about the chest with a golden girdle. Okay, so he had a golden, covering on his chest. His hair and his head were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were flames of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if it had been burned in a furnace. Okay, with his voice as the sound of many waters. And the thing about his feet that I find interesting is that it's fine brass that was burned in a furnace. Again, what did Ezekiel say? Metal, like metal that had been burned metal. Okay, let's look at what Ezekiel said again. A glowing metal. Okay, I saw that form, what appeared to be his waist up. He looked like glowing metal, as if full of fire. And that from there down, he looked like fire, and brilliant light surrounded him, like the appearance of a rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day. So was the radiance around him. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. When I saw it, I fell face down, and I heard the voice of one speaking. So here Ezekiel is seeing God, the Son. He's seeing Jesus the same way John saw Jesus, and Isaiah saw Jesus, and the sons of Israel who went up with Moses when they saw Jesus. So this is the first prophecy. I mean, there's more, but these are just some of the ones that I want to show you from the prophet Ezekiel. Okay. And, you know, this right here is also, it's important to say that this is the Son of God before he incarnated, before he became a man. Okay. This was before he became a man. Okay. Like Isaiah saw him before he became a man. Okay. And, you know, but so, all right. So that's one of the prophecies in Ezekiel about Jesus. Okay, let's look. Lapis lazuli. Okay, here's something else. Okay, guys. Above. Okay, this is. I read this to you already. Okay, now let's look at another one. Ezekiel. It says. Oops. Where is this? Okay. It says, "For this is what the sovereign Lord says." Now, this is another prophecy about Jesus. I myself will search for my sheep and will look after them. I will rescue them from all the places where they were scattered. I myself will tend my sheep and have them lie down, declares the sovereign Lord. I will search for the lost and bring back the strays. I will bind up the injured and strengthen the weak. I will place over them one shepherd, my servant David, and he will tend them. He will tend them and be their shepherd. I, the Lord, will be their God, and my servant David will be prince among them. I, the Lord, have spoken. So here you have God the Father speaking about God the Son. And this is one, or actually two, of 4 times in the book of Ezekiel where Jesus is called David. There's 4 times in the book of Ezekiel where Jesus, the Messiah, is called David. Why? Because he's the son of David. But it's very clear that this David is an eternal person. He's not the David of the Old Testament. He's an eternal person, the descendant of David, Jesus Christ. And 4 times, Ezekiel calls Jesus David. And what's interesting too is that Isaiah calls him David and Zechariah calls him David. So there's 3 different prophets that call Jesus David, and Jeremiah calls him David. Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Zechariah. Those 3 prophets, is Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Zechariah, all call Jesus David. So that was kind of like a moniker, like a name or title that they gave to the Messiah, that he was David, because he was called the son of David. He was a descendant of David. So here, 2 times, Ezekiel calls Jesus David. Okay, and there's more there. It's not just that. There's also that this David is my servant. So here the Father is speaking, and he calls him my servant. Well, we know that in the book of Isaiah, there's what's called the servant songs. There's like 5 servant songs. And in Isaiah, Jesus is called my servant. In Isaiah, Jesus is called my servant. And here in Ezekiel, Jesus is called my servant David. Okay, so here are 2 more prophecies, and both times, you guys, Jesus is called my servant, which is a title of the Messiah in the book of Isaiah too. So, okay. So there's another prophecy about Jesus. Okay, let's look at another one here. Lapis lazuli. Okay. Oh, by the way, I just want to tell you some similarities between Ezekiel and Revelation. Okay. These are things that are similar between what Ezekiel and John both saw. Okay. John being the author of the book of Revelation. Okay. Sorry, guys. I got it. Okay. One is they both saw a rainbow. They both saw a rainbow. The sign, which is a sign of the covenant. Remember, of the Noahic covenant, when God made a covenant with Noah, what was the sign of that covenant? The sign of the covenant was the rainbow. Remember, with Abraham, what was the sign of the covenant with Abraham? It was circumcision. What was the sign of the covenant with Adam? The sign of the covenant with Adam was clothes, that they wore clothes. Okay, so each covenant God makes, there's a sign that goes with that covenant. Well, the covenant with Noah, the sign of it was a rainbow. And God said, I'll put my sign in the clouds. And it was the rainbow. Well, both Ezekiel and John see the rainbow. Okay. Both Ezekiel and John saw the blazing purity of God's presence. To Ezekiel, the dazzling brightness above. To John, the sea of glass. Okay, so they both saw this. Okay, both had a vision of lamps representing God's Spirit. Both of them had saw the Spirit of God as lamps. Remember, John saw the 7 lamps before the throne of God. Well, those 7 lamps represent the Holy Spirit. And it says the 7 spirits of God, but it's one Spirit, 7 attributes of the Spirit that you read about in Isaiah. Both saw 4 living creatures. Isaiah saw it. Ezekiel saw it, and so did John. And both of them see the faces, the face of a man, face of a lion, face of an eagle, face of an ox. So they all see these same faces. And so these 4 creatures, and you know what, you guys, I had a pastor say this once, that sometimes we think, oh, there's these ogres and these creatures with a bunch of faces and a bunch of eyes in front of the throne of God, and it's just like, weird and everything like that. But you guys, how beautiful is God? How beautiful is this world, even though it's fallen? How beautiful is this world? So do you think those creatures are going to be ugly? When some of them are cherubim. And what does God say about the cherubim? That's a different class of angel. There's the seraphim, there's the cherubim, and that Lucifer was a cherubim. Lucifer, before he fell, he was a cherubim. This is one of the highest levels of angels, was the cherubim. And it says he was perfect in beauty. So and don't think about these creatures like they're these grotesque and like something from a Hollywood movie. No, they're beautiful, just like everything God made, and so okay, both were given a scroll to eat and then had to go prophesy. This is in Ezekiel 128 and in Ezekiel 8 through 10, and then Ezekiel 3, 1 through 4, and also in Revelation 10, 1 to 2, and 8 to 11. So what happens is that they're given the scroll. God says, eat the scroll. They eat it, and it says it was sweet as honey in my mouth, but then it became bitter as wormwood in my stomach. And both of them were given this. And then God says, after they eat it, he says, go and prophesy. Go and prophesy. So both Ezekiel and John have this similar experience when they are. So, all right. Let's see the next prophecy. Okay. Here's another prophecy about Jesus in Ezekiel. It says, I believe this is chapter 17, the exalted will be brought low, a ruin, a ruin. I will make it a ruin. The crown will not be restored. Okay, now this is interesting. The crown will not be restored. You see, there was no more kings. Judah had no more kings after Jehoiakim, who was taken into the Babylonian captivity. After the Babylonian captivity, there were no more kings of Israel, like David and Solomon and all those, Rehoboam, all those kings, Ahab, whether of Israel or of Judah. There were no more kings. Okay. The kingdom, the monarchy ended. Okay. When they came back from Babylon, there was no more kings. But look what it says. The crown will not be restored until he to whom it rightfully belongs shall come. To him I will give it. So there is a crown, the crown of Israel. It would not be restored until the one to whom it belongs. Well, you guys, this is very similar. This is very similar to what Jacob says to Judah in Genesis 49. In Genesis 49, Jacob was prophesying over his 12 sons. Okay, and he prophesied what's going to happen to them in the last days. And Reuben got in trouble because he slept with his stepmother. Simeon and Levi got in trouble because they were very angry and cruel. But when it came to Judah, it says, your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons will bow down to you. You are a lion's cub, Judah, and you return from the prey, my son. Like a lion, he crouches and he lies down, like a lioness who dares to rouse him. Then listen to this. This is about Judah. The scepter. Now, what is the scepter? That's the stick that a king holds. Will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he to whom it belongs shall come. Who's the one to whom it belongs? Jesus. And the obedience of the nations shall be his. This is very similar to what Ezekiel is saying here. Okay. Look what Ezekiel said. He says, I will make it a ruin. The crown will not be restored until he to whom it rightfully belongs shall come. To him I will give it. Okay. So there you go. Another prophecy about Jesus. Okay. Let's look at another one. Okay. That's the verse that I just read to you from. And then Ezekiel 34:24. And I, the Lord, will be their God, and my servant David a prince among them. I, the Lord, have spoken it. This is another time where Jesus is called David. Okay. And now, what's interesting here, and this is also true in the other passage, is that the servant David and God are kind of put on the same level here. And my servant David, a prince among them. Okay, so be God, and this reminds you of Revelation, where it says, God and the Lamb will be the light of the city. Okay, so there's, okay, let's look at number 9. Let's see this one. Okay, here's another one. Now, this is Ezekiel 37, you guys. It says, the Lord says, I will take the Israelites out of the nations where they have gone. I will gather them from all around and bring them back to their own land. I will make them one nation in the land. On the mountains of Israel, there will be one king over all of them, and they will never again be two nations or be divided into two kingdoms. They will no longer defile themselves with their idols and vile images or with any of their offenses. I will save them from all their sinful backsliding. I will cleanse them. They will be my people. I will be their God. And again, here you have, it says, I will make them into one nation. There will be one king over all of them. That one king is Jesus again. Okay. And also, when it says, I will be their God, they will be my people, I'll be their God. This is also similar to what Jesus says in Revelation 21, where he says, to him who overcomes, he will be my son and I will be his God. So again, there's another prophecy in Ezekiel. This is from Ezekiel 37, you guys. And Ezekiel 37 is very interesting because this is one of the most famous prophecies in the Bible. It's one of the most famous prophecies in the Bible. I'm going to sing you a very famous song that is based on this prophecy. See if you can guess which prophecy it is. It says, the knee bone's connected to the thigh bone's connected to the backbone's connected to the shoulder bones, and we all praise. What is that? Is that how the song goes? Let me see how that song goes. Okay. Let me see. Let me see if I can play that song for you. Okay, let's see if I can play this for you here. I don't know if this is I don't know if this is. Sorry, let's get through this dumb ad. Okay. What a pain. They forced me to watch these dumb commercials. Oops. Oh, that's not it. Anyway, it was a famous song. I don't know. The knee bone's connected to the foot bone's connected to the ankle bone, and we all praise the Lord. It was based. I know you guys have heard that song, and it was based on. It was based on. It was based on that song, on that chapter in Ezekiel chapter 37, where it says that there was a valley of dry bones, and then he saw all of the bones coming back together, and then flesh coming on them, And so so anyway, that prophecy is about Israel coming back together again and being restored. And so anyway, the prophecy in that chapter also is that there will be reunited, because remember, when Israel went into captivity and Judah went into captivity, they were two separate nations. It was Israel and Judah, but they were going to be reunited. And when they be reunited, there'd be one king over them. And who's that king? That king is Jesus. So anyway, that's a prophecy about Jesus in Ezekiel. And we're almost done here, you guys. One last one here. Okay. It says, my servant David will be king over them, and they will all have one shepherd. They will follow my laws and be careful to keep my decrees. So here's another time, and then it says, and my servant David will be their prince forever. Okay, so he's both a servant, a shepherd, and a prince. That's Jesus in Ezekiel, and he's called David. Okay, again. So, all right, let's go also to I think I have one more, you guys. I think I have one more. Oh, maybe I don't. Let me see. Okay, no, this is from yesterday. This is from Jeremiah. Sorry. Okay. So anyway, there you have some prophecies. Okay. Did I read this one? Yes. Okay, so there you have prophecies in Ezekiel about the coming of Jesus. And you guys, there's so much more. If we really want to delve deep into this subject, there's so many prophecies about Jesus in the book of Ezekiel. But these are some. And one interesting thing about Ezekiel is that one thing interesting about Ezekiel is that he 4 times calls Jesus David. Okay, now Jeremiah does it too, and so does Zechariah, but Ezekiel does it 4 times, which just interesting that that's the main title he uses for Jesus, for the Messiah. So now I saw that Blackwater was here. Blackwater, bro, I don't know if you're still here, bro, but if you're here, let me just put the link so you can come on. You know, if you'd like to come on. Haven't talked to you in a while. Yes, Ezekiel has, you know, they used to say, you know, because of the wheel inside a wheel and stuff that Ezekiel saw, there was this wacko guy named Van Doniken back in the 70s, and he used to write books about UFOs and stuff like that. And he said that this Ezekiel vision was of UFOs, you know, the wheel within a wheel. And they really thought that. So God bless you, HT. Why? God bless you, blessed. The Lord bless you, HT. Are you? What? HT, what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about, HT?
He was putting my name as goddess and worship you and this and that. I told him, good, I'm going to block you.
Yeah.
Just kind of talking.
HT, what's your problem, man? Is that a tribute to Creedence Clearwater Revival? Which one? Oh, Blackwater, keep on rolling, Mississippi move. That's not Creedence Clearwater Revival, my friends. That's the Doobie Brothers. So you know what? The Doobie Brothers had a song called "Jesus Is Just All Right," and you know, they weren't. I wouldn't call them a gospel band by any means. You know, I think they came up with their name Doobie Brothers because a doobie is a marijuana cigarette. And while they were smoking a marijuana cigarette, thinking about what's the name of this band, and they called it the Doobie Brothers. But yeah, they did have, but they had one song called Jesus is Just All Right. And you know, there's another famous Christian group called DC Talk, and they were awesome. And they did that song, Jesus is Just All Right. So, you know, not the best song in the world, but um, yeah, it was kind of like the tail end of the Jesus People movement that they came out. So, all right, you guys. Well, I just wanted to talk about Ezekiel tonight. I don't know if Blackwater, if you're here, bro, there's the link. Please come on. Love to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Um, and and if there's any Muslims who would like to come on, also we welcome you. I'll put the link on here again. I know I came on a little bit late today. You know, I try to do these at 7 o'clock now on. Yeah, I like listening to the music. Okay. All right. Well, if we're not going to have anybody come on, then I think maybe we'll. You know, where did Elias go? Was Elias here, or did she run? I mean, did he run away? You know, I know I saw Elias. One of these days, you guys, Elias is going to come on here. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, Blackwater. We'll wait. Um, you know, one thing about the about Elias and um, ostrich egg, is that I believe that they're going to become believers in Jesus' name. I believe that they're going to come to the Lord and accept the Lord, and they're going to come here and share their testimony. And so keep praying for them, you guys. I know they come here and you know, they're say the same thing over and over and over again, and you know, but the Holy Spirit knows how to reach. He created them, so we just got to keep believing. Look at Paul. Look how hard Paul was, and yet the Lord knew how to reach him. So,
See?
what's up with you, HT?
I blocked him and he's a troll.
HT, you know, the stuff you're saying is blasphemy, man. Tell you what. Yeah. Did you block him, babe?
Yeah.
He's still coming on? Let me see if I can block him.
I blocked him.
Okay. Okay. I banned him too.
Ban ostrich and Elias.
I don't mind those two. Better chance for Muslims to come on if you invite everyone up, not single them out. Truthitarian. Truthitarian. What are you, Truthitarian? Are you a Christian? All of them come on. I put the invite. Whoever wants to come on. I always say, you know, if there's a Muslim would like to come on, you know, we welcome you to come on. To be quiet. For Muslims to come on if you invite everyone up, not single them out. You know, whenever I invite them, I always tell them, hey, you know, if there's a Muslim here, feel free to come on. You know. Okay. HT, I'm not sure who HT is, but what he says is heretical. And the word heretical has a H and a T in it. So, heretical troll. I don't know. Is that his name? Houston Euler. Welcome, Houston. Pray for them. That's right. So, let's look at what's happening with the hostage situation. Yeah, that's one thing we've been following and praying about. You guys, if the hostages are set free, then this war can be over. I hope, you know. Israel heads to polls. U.S. hopes for Gaza ceasefire. Okay, so let's see. Hopes to have a hostage deal by Monday. Wow. We want those hostages to come home, you guys. Still in Khan Yunis. Wow, they say that Yahya Sinwar is still in Khan Yunis. Wow. Because they cleaned out Khan Yunis and they thought that he fled to Rafah now. Um, okay. Okay. So, all right. Well, like I said, I've got friends in Rafah. So I really don't want to, I hope that um, I really would love to see that not happen. I don't really want to see them going into Rafah. It just so many people there, and I do want to see. I would love to see Hamas driven out of power. That's for sure. I just, I'm just concerned about the all those people there. There's so many people there right now. So, okay, let's see where we are. I said Blackwater said that he would wanted to come on. So, heretical troll. Done playing games with these. Truthitarian were complaining. Why? Yeah, Truthitarian. I don't know who you are, but HT probably had. Yes, yes, that's true. Evil people using pawns to fight other evil people and killing. I don't see it a sham, but Trump might be able to delay it. Yeah, we. Oh, Elias is here. What about the Palestinian hostages? Um, I don't know of any Palestinian hostages. I know prisoners. Aren't you concerned for Palestinian? Yes, in fact, Elias, that's a great thing that you're asking about the Palestinians, specifically the Gazans. We have a GoFundMe, Elias, and so I know that you're not just a bunch of words. I know that you really do care about the Palestinians, and so I set up a GoFundMe to help the people in Gaza, and we've raised $2,500 so far. So we'd love for you to come and give some money, not just talk. If you support the Palestinians. So let me get the GoFundMe here, so that Ilyas can give. I wonder if he'd give. I know Alaeddin was doing the same thing the other day. I don't think he gave anything. He had an excuse why he wouldn't give. So shoot, where is that GoFundMe? Okay. Uh, Oops. What happened? Okay. Sign in. Okay. I'm going to. Okay. Okay. This is for. This is for Elias. If you want to help Elias, if you want to help the people of Gaza, Elias, yeah, we pray for them, but we also want to, if possible, send them money. If you want to go, Elias, here's the link, and you can go give money to help the people in Gaza. Okay. Thank goodness we've been able to raise some money for them, And if you would like to help, please feel free to do so. Israel took so many. A lot of them are prisoners. There's a difference between prisoner and hostage. Okay. So if you want to, but if you want to help the people of Gaza, here's an opportunity for you to do something, Elias, not just to talk. Okay. All right. So anyway, so that was kind of our subject for today, talking about Ezekiel, talking about Jeremiah, and those are like the two major prophets besides Isaiah. We always talk about Isaiah, so that's kind of why I wanted to come and talk about this, about Ezekiel. I love Ezekiel, and Ezekiel, you guys, I've written a book about Ezekiel. I've written a book about Ezekiel 38. It's called Magog, Mehdi, and the Mark of the Beast. To show it to you in case you might want to buy the book. Okay. It's available on Amazon. If anybody's interested, you can go buy this book. It's available right now just as, God bless you, Protestant believer. Thanks for coming on. And if you would like to buy the book, like I said, let me see if I got the page here so you guys could see it. The name of the book, I wrote it like 10 years ago. It's called Magog, Mehdi, and the Mark of the Beast, Biblical Prophecies of Christ's Soon Return. Okay. Now, my name on here, you guys, is Ali Abdel Masih. I used to use that pseudonym. Okay, but it's me. So, okay. So there you see the Mark of the Beast, Ali Abdel Masih. So it's on Amazon, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to get any money for it. So, but if you want to read it, it's there. So, okay, you guys. Well, I think Blackwater said he wanted to come on, so we're going to hang around for a while. We do pray for the Palestinians, Elias, and especially for my friends in Gaza. Have you talked to your friends in Gaza, Elias? Have you talked to any of them? It's crazy all the stuff going on in the Middle East, and people think we're not living in tribulation in the West. Yeah, the thing about what's going on there right now that the Bible talks about, that Ezekiel specifically talks about. Ezekiel talks about several nations that are going to be involved in what's going on in the Middle East right now. One is Israel, of course. Another is Iran. Another is Russia. Another is Saudi Arabia. Another is Yemen. And another is the United States and England. And if you look, Ezekiel predicted exactly these nations. He said that that there's two alliance of nations. And he said who's fighting who. And Ezekiel predicted this 3,000 years ago, which shows you that Ezekiel is a true prophet. Okay. And yes. So I found you first testimony on. Oh, did you? Yeah, my friends made that. They're my friends. They had a connection to CBN, and they asked us to do our testimonies. Yeah, everybody else, everybody else got like millions of views on theirs. Yeah, that was a really neat project to do. I found the truth. I got to share my testimony of when I was in Gaza. I talked about being in Gaza. In fact, you know what? I got a video of when I was in Gaza. Let me see if I could play this for you. Okay, here. This is when I was in Gaza. I was on my friend's TV show in. Okay, let me see if I could. I was actually in. I was actually in Khan Yunis. I was actually in Khan Yunis doing a TV interview with a friend of mine. And so, let's see. I don't know if I can get here.
How difficult an
It's calling from Khan Yunis,
effort this is for the Israeli government to get these people out of here. I mean, it is, the one thing this is what we're expecting to happen, and it almost looks a little bit like it's happening probably more in Israel than I'm seeing it in Palestine. And that is that it's like a civil war on both sides.
Steve,
both sides are having to confront their extremists.
And that's a very interesting view to take there. Let's take a break. We'll come back and talk more with Steve Mashney, calling from the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, that was a news program. A friend of mine, his name is Sam. He's Jewish, actually, but he was very pro-Palestinian. And so anyway, that's why I was on his program. So, all right, you guys. Well, I'm going to, I don't know if Blackwater's coming on. So I think we're going to go ahead and end this tonight. And Blackwater, if you're watching, maybe we'd come on tomorrow night, bro. I need to get going. It's a little bit late here. And so God bless you guys. If you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. يسوع ساعدني. يسوع سامحني. يسوع ادخل قلبي. He loves you and we love you. And God bless you guys.
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth. This happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to repeat.
That the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.